Alright, so this is a really important video, and this was a question asked to me in one of my advanced classes, and I was like, that's a really good question, and I want to talk about it. So basically, he asked me in the class, this person asked me, Blake, I understand, when a player is playing really loose, that you're supposed to play tight. Like, that's the common advice. If a player has a wide range, you should narrow your range, and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, he's like, how much do you narrow it? And also, like, if a player's playing really wide and you want to widen your range, like, how much do you narrow it? And I was like, that's a really good question. And I kind of want to talk about that. So standard advice is, it's all about extracting value. So if a player's playing a wide range and you narrow your hand range to a smaller range, assuming that the player's not even paying attention to what you're doing, you're going to make money because over the long run, your hands are better than theirs. And statistically, your hands will hold up longer than theirs, right? Now, this is not optimal play by any means, right? That's not the idea. So if somebody was playing 60% of your range and you were playing 3% of your range, you'd probably, at the end of the day, just get blinded out. I mean, like, it's too much of a disparity. So the argument is here. Like, how do you counter that? So how do you counter a player who's really, really, really loose and plays a wide range, right? What do you do? This is what you need to understand. So there's a couple variables. There's the player type, right? The opponent's style, how much hands they play, how aggressive they play, all that kind of thing. Then there's your range and how that relates to it, and their range. And then there's also this notion of risk and confidence. So let me explain it. I'm gonna say it. I said it in a whole nother video. The better you are in poker, the more hands you can play. The more you suck at poker, the fewer hands you can play. And this, I don't think I really explained it in that video. So this is why, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have an opponent that has, I don't know, ace 7. He's ace 7. And he's playing against an opponent who's really wide. The guy plays a wide range of hand, is incredibly aggressive. And basically board comes out, and who cares about pre-flop? Board comes out, I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. Who cares about pre-flop? Pre-flop, I don't know, you're in the cutoff, you raise, and he flat calls you on the blind. He flat calls you on the dealer blind, right? And then the board comes out, ace 4-10 rainbow, right? So you make pair of aces, medium kicker, aces with a 7. Now this is where this argument is really like brought to the surface. If you have ace 7 on a board of ace 4-10, right, and you're playing against an opponent with a really wide range, and you're terrified that that opponent may have ace 8, may have ace 9, may have ace jack, may have ace queen, may have ace king. If you put that opponent on that range of hands, it becomes incredibly difficult for you to play a wider range. So this is what I'm talking about. As your range widens, your confidence or your threshold for having the best hand decreases. So because of the fact that so many hands can beat you. So it's a balancing game between, yes, widening your range to a point where you're confident, right? And not going above that. And hopefully this widens for you. I mean, when I first started playing, I played nothing. Now my hand range is pretty wide. I'm a pretty loose, aggressive player for the most part. Not against some of these online nuts, but for like live play, at 5-10 live, I mean, I'm one of the more looser players. And the thing is, why? It's because I developed this confidence that I know against this opponent that ace 7 for this particular opponent, I know that ace 7 is way ahead of his range, and he's likely to pay me off with a lot of other hands like ace 6, ace 5, king 10 draws, blah, blah, blah. And I can confidently put all my chips in the middle and understand that I made the right decision. If you do not have that, you can't have a wide range. So it's interesting. It's like your opponent's range, it's your range, and then the other variable is your confidence about your opponent's range and how your range fits into that range. It's like really, really, really multifaceted. I think people forget about that when they do these chip EV analysis and models, and at the end of the day, you really have to say, like, how confident am I to play this hand? And it's vital. It's so vital. That's why I teach my poker, the way I coach is a style around comfort. So I try to let people stay in their comfort zones, because when they exit them, they get fucked. It's just that simple. When they move out of the comfort zone, they get stacked. You hit the river, you have no idea what's going on. A player jams on you, and you fold, even though you should have called, but it's beyond your comfort level. So it's really important. You need to think about not what's the mathematical, because if somebody's playing, if somebody's playing such a wide range, it makes sense that you would, widen your range a little bit and try to extract value and so on and so forth. But the hard part is that you don't know the line. You don't know where their range ends and where, unless you're online, you have all these stats, that helps. But live, it's a little bit more difficult. So really understand the confidence that you have in your reads about an opponent's range, because it's more important. It's more important sometimes than just widening up. You got to be confident if you widen up. You can't just widen, or else you just end up playing more hands and probably losing more value in those hands. Okay, and I'll talk another video on how to build confidence in your reads. Links right here. All right, so have a good one.